All right, we did the West Metro, we did the North Metro, and apparently y'all still have a lot of opinions about some of these suburbs, because the comments on those videos were something else, and I definitely recommend that you go watch those. So today we are doing the East Metro, and before we get into that, I do want to say something. I feel like the East Metro is a completely different buyer than the previous two, because these suburbs are more a suburb of St. Paul rather than a suburb of Minneapolis. Minneapolis being the crazier, in a good way, the more lively, versus St. Paul is the more historical, the sleepier. And so with that, the vestiges of that kind of come into the suburbs of the eastern side of the cities as well. Different lifestyle, different priority, different vibes. Now, it's not better than the west or the north, it's just different. And it's about knowing thyself about where you would rather end up. And because of that, I'm going to be ranking them against each other, not against Wayzata or Minnetonka, because those are completely different lifestyles. All right, so as a reminder, you got the S tier, you got A tier, you got B tier, and you got C tier. Let's get into it. Now, first up, Maplewood. Now, Maplewood lands in the B tier, and frankly, it's a pretty clean B. It's quiet, just checks all the boxes. Schools are solid, neighborhoods are established. It does what a suburb does without making a big fuss about itself. And if you're a buyer that doesn't need to necessarily be wowed or just wants a functional, livable community, then Maplewood is a great option for you. B tier, no drama, and that's kind of just what you need to know. Second on the list, Cottagewood. I'm putting Cottagewood in the C tier, and here's why. The headline here is affordability. Same story as some of the North Metro suburbs that we reviewed in the previous video. Now, if you need to make the numbers work, if you are a first-time buyer or you're someone that needs a really low dollar per square foot, Cottagewood does that job for you. Now, that trade-off is that it's further out, it's going to add to your commute, and the housing stock is usually smaller and older, but sometimes that's what people are looking for. It depends on if that's the value that you're seeking. If you're the right buyer in the right phase of life, it can make total sense though. But there's nothing really else drawing me to Cottagewood. C tier. You probably were waiting and expecting this, Stillwater. Stillwater is S tier, 100%. I love Stillwater so much because A, it fits many different buyer demographics, but then two, just the quality of life that you have in Stillwater and the access to so many amazing restaurants and shops. And if you haven't been downtown Stillwater, it is incredible. It feels like you're in a sleepy Maine towner. It's a sleepy river town right along the banks of the St. Croix. It has character and walkability. It feels like it's somewhere and not just like a random hodgepodge of cul-de-sacs. The buyer that chooses Stillwater is not choosing it because of its practicality, especially if you work in either Minneapolis or St. Paul, because it is further out. But what you get for that trade-off is incredible. You also get a wide range of houses too. I think the houses, because of the popularity of Stillwater, tend to be on the higher side, with some reaching into the luxury market. But there are still some great affordable options in both Stillwater, and then you can get further out, areas like Scandia and so on and so forth. Stillwater is one of my favorite places to just go for a walk on a Saturday afternoon. Truly stunning. S tier all the way. All right, next up, Oakdale. A lot of people are like, who? Where? There are Minnesotans that have lived in the Twin Cities for all of their lives and could not place Oakdale on a map. It flies under the radar. It sits right next to Woodbury, and I think that's why it sits under the radar, is because Woodbury is a very popular and known suburb that a lot of times people are just driving through Oakdale. And so it flies under the radar, and the houses there are pretty affordable. I just sold one there last week, and the buyer only had to bring $67 to closing. Incredible value. Now, it doesn't have the same polish or amenity basis, certainly, as Stillwater or even some of the other suburbs that surround it, but it is a practical choice where if you are needing to be budget conscious, Oakdale can be a great option for you. And they have a wide range of housing styles and architectural styles, so you can usually find something that fits within your budget and what you envision for your next house. Oakdale can absolutely make sense. Just make sure that you go in with the right expectations. What do you think? Am I totally off my rockers on that one? Let me know what you think. By the way, if you have any questions all about this, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I always try to respond to each and every comment that I get. Woodbury. Now, I couldn't decide if I was going to put Woodbury in S tier or in A tier, and I think I'm going to be real and I'm going to put it at A tier, and here's why. Now, there's a lot to like about Woodbury. It is the Maple Grove of the East, and I say that as a compliment because it's got every single shop known to man. I was going to say with the exception of an Apple store, but then neither does Maple Grove have an Apple store, so there you go. It has everything. It has well-ranked schools, it has major retail, it has restaurant corridors, it has new construction, it has old-time houses, established neighborhoods, and strong resale values. It's a suburb that when folks are moving to the East Metro, I think they just move to Woodbury by default because it sits on a very convenient location right along 94 there. It's not necessarily the most exciting or flashy, but it has everything that you would want for in a suburb. And it is, white picket fence. It is that stereotypical suburban living. And if that's what you're envisioning as a buyer, well, then you can do no wrong going in and living in a spot like Woodbury. So for that reason, I'm going to rank it an S tier. By the way, this is my own personal rankings. Someone gave me crap about it on a previous video that I was talking about as auto-centric. I'm like, people want my opinion, and then when I talk about my opinion, they're like, why are you only talking about your opinion? This is all about beauty is in the eye of the beholder, guys. And I feel like most of y'all know this, but this is the internet, and I need to say it again. Next up on the list, White Bear Lake. Now, White Bear Lake gets A tier for me. White Bear Lake is a huge suburb, and I mean it literally. It is a large community, and there is a huge range within that. The houses there range from the older homes that need some love all the way up to like multi-million-dollar houses that are on the lake. That range, I think, is what makes it an interesting option. Depending on what you're looking for and what your budget is, White Bear Lake might have options that might surprise you. The lake properties give it a ceiling for sure that most East Metro suburbs just simply can't touch. And for that reason, I think I'm going to put it at A tier. Just know that which version of White Bear Lake you're going to be shopping for, having those expectations going in will set you up for success in the best way possible. All right, now Hastings. And you might be like, where? Isn't that Wisconsin? Nope, it's in Minnesota. Hastings, I think it truthfully flies under the radar for most relocation buyers. It has a real downtown, and similar to Stillwater, it sits on the river, it has character in a lot of ways that in other suburbs just simply don't. It is further out than some of the other options on this list, and I think that's why it gets knocked down from the S tier to the A tier. But if you don't really care about commute and you're fine with working from home, or you have a job that's local to Hastings, I mean, you could do significantly worse than living in Hastings. It's a great spot. Hastings, it delivers on all things, both in living and also in price point as well. And most people don't think about that when they think of Hastings. They often think of it as more of a rural area when, frankly, it is actually more of an up-and-coming neighborhood and suburb than what most people think. And now I had to throw this wild card in there because, I get a fair amount of questions on it. Hudson, Wisconsin. Yeah, I know, but the saving grace here is that majority of those people that live in Hudson are actually Vikings fans, because the majority of people that live in Hudson actually are doing sort of the life hack where they live in Wisconsin, they live cheaper with cheaper property taxes and cheaper quality of life, but then commute into Minnesota and get that higher Minnesota paycheck. So yeah, you're going to have to deal with getting a Wisconsin license, but that trade-off is pretty nice considering the savings that you're going to get. Just don't become a Packer fan if you move. And also, if you do relocate to Hudson, let me know, because I am looking for a new Spotted Cow dealer, which if you don't know what Spotted Cow is, it is a beer that is only made and sold in Wisconsin. You cannot get it in any other state other than Wisconsin. And Spotted Cow, for those of you that had it, well, if you know, you know. So if you live in Hudson, hit a brother up. Let me know. By the way, this is an aside. I'm not licensed in Wisconsin, so I can connect you with a Wisconsin advisor, but I myself do not sell real estate in Wisconsin. Don't want to deal with the Packer fans. But don't let a state line make the decision for you. That could be a very affordable and a great option for you should you choose that that's where you want to be. All right, so here is what I will say about the East Metro overall. As you are seeing, it is a completely different buyer and a different lifestyle feel. Very seldom am I working with somebody that's looking on both the West and the East Metro. If you want a river town with a real identity, Stillwater or Hastings could be great options for you. If you want all the shopping that you could afford, then Woodbury is a great option for you. Or if you're thinking about living in a cheap way to kind of hack the system, then hey, maybe take a look at Hudson. But if you have any questions about what this means for you, all my information is down below. I have a stand store that you can use and download my ultimate relocation guide. All of that is for free in the description and the link down below. All right, that's it for me, and I will see you as we wrap up this series in the next video with the South Metro. All right, talk soon, y'all. Bye now.